3. And we jump into the game of the guy who just beat Hikaru Nakamura, Nguyen, against the Messi of chess. 2 young guys. Who is going to win? Or maybe not 2 young guys.
I think he's about 34, 35.
Oh, okay.
He's part of the strong Vietnamese generation with Le Quang Lim as well. They're both prodigies. And so they've been around for a long time and can beat anyone on a good day. The good thing, like Hikaru lost, but he knows this field because Magnus isn't playing and there's a lot of strong players. Also means there's a better chance to come back because you kind of hope the guys at the top kind of beat up on each other. You know, it's how many players are really capable of scoring 10 points out of 11, 10 and a half where you can't catch up. 1 loss, you can afford 1 loss. More than that, that's a bit tricky.
And Faustino, he has been playing very quickly so far in this game. He knows how important the clock is. He's making all of his moves immediately. Always has a time advantage in the beginning, it feels like.
Yeah, he's playing a pretty safe opening. It doesn't have the best reputation in classical, but in blitz, it's very effective. You can play quickly. You give white a little bit of the center here, but you've counterplay, space for your pieces. And part of the reason I like playing it is that white at some point needs to figure out how to use that space advantage and push through. And that takes a lot of time and energy. And usually when it happens, it also opens up some tactical ideas. So with space comes responsibility. And white has these nice looking pawns in the center. But if they can't harass black's pieces, then it's definitely okay for black. So let's see how this space advantage is pushed here.
I can see that a lot of the people who are following this broadcast, they're rooting for Faustino. He's become a crowd favorite that many players are rooting for. And he seems concentrated. This is his first think of the game, really, where he's spending some time now. I'm eager to see how many rounds in a row will it go before he starts facing the very, very top guys. But for now, it looks like Nguyen has a bit of an advantage getting out of the opening now.
Yeah, it's just the space advantage. And at some point, if white doesn't make any mistakes, Faustino's going to have to think, do I push my pawn up? How do I fight back and grab some space or contest the position? Because it can feel pretty cramped pretty quickly. This bishop doesn't know where to go. You'd like to move your knight as black too. This knight on the king side because you want to open up your fianchettoed bishop. But because there's lack of space, we see some problems. And honestly, white's doing very well here. Even this exchange, this changes the structure. Black's pawn captured away from the center. White has an extra pawn on the king side because of those double pawns. I see some opportunities to gain some space.
Look at Faustino's reactions. He seems very upset with the recent developments.
He's a young, sharp player, and this position is static and passive.
Yeah.
It's not suiting the style. There's no challenges in the position. There's no tactics. Right now, white's just enjoying a very comfortable space advantage and look to see maybe the king side expand, uses, or what we see right now. Nguyen is saying, I'm going to trade off into an endgame because you have double pawns, and those double pawns aren't beneficial.
And Faustino does not look very happy with
He doesn't, but he's staying up on the clock, which is really important when you're not comfortable with your position. If you can, avoid falling behind, that really makes things easier. Because when there's no increment, at some point your opponent will stop playing really well. Like, that's a nice thing. When there's increment or long time control, people will play well, super well. It's like, feels like you're playing a computer. But once that clock, goes under a minute, and here we go, that's a big move. Trying to open up the rook. There could be some pinning ideas. It's also key. It opens up this bishop. And here we go. This pawn will push. And here comes the avalanche. And that comes without center. From the very opening, Faustino gave up the center. It was a bit of a risky choice. And the way white's handled it has netted
and look at his disappointment. He seems absolutely
He's looking to sack the queen. Yes, a queen sacrifice. What that means is queen for a rook. But black would like to install this bishop right over here, making white's king feel a little weak. And that's maybe a practical decision. And I like it. It is a lost position, but with best play. And when you put the bishop here, I think white's job is to try to get rid of it, because that's the best piece. The best piece for Faustino is this dark squared bishop. That's the one thing white doesn't have. But honestly speaking, a queen for just a rook, this should be a win for white, 9.5 out of 10 times, pretty easily.
And that's what makes it so exciting as well, that they don't have increment, because then there's always a little
flagging
hope.
chances, and if it was a time scramble, I think I've played with Nguyen. He's around 3,000 bullets, so a very good bullet player. But you're right. It's a time scramble, blunders, things will happen. What do you do as black? Keep the pieces on the board. When you're behind in material, don't trade. So look for Faustino to maneuver his bishops in a way that you can't force them off, to keep the rook. Notice the pieces, they're on dark squares. Black's pieces are on dark squares so they don't get picked off by white's light squared bishop. Just trying to be a pest and trying to maintain a 30 to 40 second time advantage. Put the pressure on. When you're behind, sometimes the best strategy, let your opponent try to find the conversion. Problem is, here comes the queen. At some point, that queen versus rook advantage will be felt.
And there is...
Targeting this loose pawn on the queen side.
There's quite a bit of time left in this game, and I would say...
The queen is activating.
Reading Faustino's body language, it doesn't seem like he's very hopeful that he's going to be able to swindle himself through this. And he's shaking his head so slightly.
But it's the type of tournament, it is high stakes at the end of the day, and there's no point in resigning. Because as you resign, you have to wait for the next round anyways, and there's a break. It's like, let me try my best. Who knows?
And miracles do happen in Titled Tuesday. Like we've seen a couple of weeks ago, Magnus blundering mate in 2. Like suddenly there can be some quick turn of events. And Faustino, he's still trying.
Activated his rook. Oh, now the queen's looking to penetrate on the 7th.
Oh.
And that's going to be... It's not quite checkmate. We'll see how this concludes. But there's not even a threat from black. Everything's well defended. And it's just up to white to figure out, do I want to try to trade everything off? We see this bishop move offering a trade, or look for checkmate. He's a principled player, happy with trying to trade. If I'm Faustino, I'm looking to keep that bishop on the board, but we're running out of real estate. The question is, can you slide the bishop into d3 to put pressure on this pin here?
And look, Nguyen is shaking his head.
No, he's fine. He shook his head. I think he saw something, but there's a few different ways probably to win it. And if you want to be safe, maybe bishop g4.
Oh, but he has to figure out.
There's something that bothered him for sure. You're right about that.
Oh, look at Faustino. Is he getting a little bit hopeful?
He is. I don't see... There's a ghost that wins these, and I understand why, but it's a ghost. There's you should be able to bring... Whoa. What happens if you... what is going on here? Okay. This is a nice variation, but deep calculation. He's offering to lose a knight, but there will be some discover checks here, and it's not easy to find a way to capture.
Oh, but this is more exciting than we would have thought.
For sure. You can take with the rook check, the king moves up. You take with the bishop, there's a discovery. King moves up, and there's no good check on the board. That's the problem.
Oh.
And the bishop this bishop is loose. Under 30 seconds.
Oh, and Faustino, you
He's
can see his
looking for
eyes.
a check. He's looking for something, but...
His eyes are circling the board. He's
I
trying to hold
expect
on.
white to just move the bishop out of the way. Hitting that. There we go. Exactly.
And now he maintains the queen for the rook advantage.
Still playing on, though. It's under, at least it's under 30 seconds, but that's, as I said, white. He's 3,000, 3,100 in bullet. So very, very good. This is more than enough time to convert. And I expect the queen to actually, at some point, you push this pawn down the board, and your queen and bishop coordinate some sort of kingside attack.
Would it have been as easy if that pawn on the left was not there?
It would still be pretty easy.
Okay.
I think, yeah. No, it's...
Yeah, it seems like Faustino,
he's put up a good fight.
He made his peace with the game a little while ago.
For sure. And sometimes playing these out, it's like good for you because you're still working on your resilience. And maybe against a lesser opponent, the way he played would have paid off. So I think, and you never know. Someone could mouse slip or, I don't know, lose internet. That's the variance that comes online. But
but look, there's very few seconds left. I mean, it wasn't that 4.1 seconds. That was closer than it needed to be.
Closer than it needed to be. Needed maybe three seconds more. But